Welcome back to This American Ride podcast, where we talk about issues that affect you, the average American. What's up, and welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to episode 1, season 2. I am George, here with Bert.
What's happening?
What's up?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. This American Ride, season 2.
Yeah, so this will be like a full season.
Yeah, whatever full season is. We haven't defined
You
that.
got one of those abbreviated Paramount Plus seasons last season. So
He said Paramount Plus.
One of those 7 episoders.
Oh no, pay more, get less.
Exactly. Well, here you can pay nothing and get more.
Well, listen, here's to New Year. Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Clink clink.
So we had a good New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Hung out here, had a little shindig, had some friends over. It was a good time.
It's kind of funny. It turned into like 4 people, and it wound up being like 15 or 16.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's my bad. Yeah, a good time. Good to see everybody.
And then just before the ball drop, Sam walked in.
Yeah, it was good to see. Good to see Sam.
NJ.
Good to see Sam. But yeah, it was a good time, and looking forward to 2024.
We have a lot we want to talk about today, and we have a lot going on in 24. So I kind of think we should start off talking about Tunnel to Towers real quick before we get into
let's do it.
The meat of what we got. This year on our other social baggers and brews, and here on This American Ride, Bert and I are dedicating the reach of our platform to raise as much money as we can for Tunnel to Towers. Our current goal set is $50K.
50 large.
So
I'm hoping that things go well and we have to like adjust that, mid-year.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
But yeah. I mean, we spent the last 4 years or so trying to grow that Baggers and Brews channel, and been doing everything to that. And I felt like we talked about it, and I think we needed a little different purpose this year, other than just worrying about our channel and ourselves. And now that we've grown it enough to where we do have some contacts and we do have some support, it was a good time to do it. So if you haven't heard about this, we are dedicating this whole year, and we're already underway. The Tunnel to Towers fundraising page is open. There's a link that will be in the description of this video or this audio, whatever you're listening to,
in the podcast link.
You can go there at any time, as many times as you want, and you can donate money there. We don't do enough. Our government definitely doesn't do enough for our veterans, especially our wounded veterans and even our wounded first responders. So it's kind of our job as citizens of the country to kind of pick up that torch and try to do something to make their lives better, considering what they've done for us. So that's going to be our purpose for this year. Like I said, we are underway. We have a huge event that we are in the process of planning for July. So if you are anywhere in the area and you want to attend July 13th at the Moose Lodge, 737 in Mount Holly, New Jersey, we will have a big event from 11 to about probably 7 p.m. We're going to have vendors there. We're going to have music there. We're going to have food trucks there. We'll have beer there.
Awesome. And some biker games. If you've never seen them, they are a hoot.
Yeah. So this came about as a bike poker run and like a bike event, but it's kind of, evolved a little more than that. You don't have to be someone that rides to come to this. You can just be a patriot that wants to give back. And come hang out for the day or for a couple hours or whatever. We'll probably have some raffles going on, some 50-50. You can be a part of the poker run and ride if you ride, but we're not turning away anybody that wants to donate to the cause.
Absolutely not. And I think, we all have this perception that, when our soldiers leave home to be deployed, there's, especially in the last 20 years, we know that there's a chance that somebody, may get hurt or somebody may not come home. But what I think a lot of people don't realize, unless you have a first responder in the family, or you're married to one, or you're close to one, I think people don't equate that same thing to a first responder. And the fact that, every time a policeman or a firefighter leaves the home to go serve the community, there's a chance they may not come home.
Yeah, definitely.
So
it happens all the time.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know like how I guess injured or wounded first responders are handled or treated. We hear so much about how
Yeah.
poorly the vet operates and how, or the VA and how they handle, our vets and the poor treatment that they get. You hear about that a lot, but yeah, I don't even know like how they get treated, if they're treated well, if they're taken care of, if they're not.
No.
I really don't, because I don't have anybody that close to me or connected to me that's had that kind of had to deal with that. So, but they can always use more help.
And Tunnel Towers is a really unique organization. I mean, not only do they help injured vets and first responders, not only do they help make their homes handicap accessible or more accessible to whatever injuries they may have, but they also pay off mortgages
Yeah.
because income is an issue when you're disabled.
Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Yeah, and
And
I think they even like for actual fallen vets, I think they pay off
Mhm.
mortgages for the wife or the spouse
Yeah.
who's left alone to handle those raising kids and paying mortgages and stuff. So really good cause, really good foundation. We're really happy that we chose them, and yeah, let's do everything we can. You guys can help us get to our goal by going to that link, giving as little or as much as you want. Every little bit helps. If we can get a whole bunch of you to donate $1, that would be amazing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you donate what you can, and we're going to do our part on this end to get as many people involved. And we've already got several good sponsors, and we'll continue working on getting sponsors for this event right up until the day of. So if you're somebody that owns a business and would like to be a sponsor, reach out to us. You can get us at baggersandbrews at gmail.com, or this American Ride 1776 at gmail. Either one we'll get.
Hmm.
And let us know if you're interested, and we'll get back to you and we'll make it happen. So
Yeah, and I hate to tell you this, but you're gonna hear about this campaign a lot over the course of the
a
year.
lot. We really are.
We are going to be relentless about it.
Yeah, we are, because I mean, the only way to get people to give back and to donate to these to this cause is to ask and to keep asking, and
Yeah.
and that's what we're going to do. That's kind of the commitment we've made. So we're not just going to mention it here and there. We're going to be talking about this a lot. If you follow us on Instagram or on Facebook or anything else, it'll be all over. So
Hmm.
people won't be able to say they didn't know about it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's the key. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We're working on it every day, getting as many vendors and food trucks and all that stuff. George is working on the music portion of that, since that's his thing. So we'll have bands there all day. It's going to be a great time. And I can't wait, man. I really can't. But
No,
it's going to come quick.
it's going to come quick, and we've got a lot of work yet to do.
Oh, yeah.
So before we get into the topic of today's podcast, let's hear not only from the sponsor of today's podcast, but one of the premier sponsors for the Tunnel to Towers event, and that is Legendary USA. What's up, everybody? I just wanted to take a minute to tell you about the sponsor of today's podcast, Legendary USA. Their selection of leather and denim jackets, vests, gloves, chaps, and riding shirts are 100% made in the USA with a lifetime warranty. Legendary USA isn't just about style, it's about quality. With American made products and a commitment to excellence, you can trust that you're getting gear that's built to last. Legendary USA isn't just for bikers. They have a full selection of shirts, hoodies, EDC, tactical and survival gear, all made here in the USA. And here is the best part. Legendary USA is offering our listeners an exclusive deal. When you shop at legendaryusa.com and use the promo code LegendaryPod, you'll get 15% off on your first purchase. That's legendary with a D and pod for podcast. So why settle for ordinary when you can be legendary? Click that link in the description to head on over to legendaryusa.com to explore their fantastic range of products and use the promo code LegendaryPod to snag your 15% off discount today. Now back to the show, and thank you for Legendary USA for supporting this podcast.
Yeah, man. Love Legendary USA. Chris is an awesome dude, man. So glad he reached out to us late last year. And we're going to be doing a lot of collaboration stuff with him this year.
Yeah.
Supporting his brand, and he's going to be supporting ours, and it's going to be fun. Cool dude.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a good time. It's great to have a partnership where a lot of your values align, and Chris's values are definitely in line with not only Baggers and Brews, but definitely this podcast as
Yeah,
well.
and
So
it's fun to have a sponsor that's like just as excited about it as we are. So
yes.
that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited. So what are we talking about today? I know
Oh
you found
man.
yourself an article.
I found myself an article. This article come up, and the title of it looked good, and the content of it is a little questionable.
Well, I read it, and you'll get into
Mm,
it. I felt like the overall things they list aren't necessarily wrong. If you just read their reasoning for it, it tends to lean
yeah.
a little to the left.
So I have a bunch of news alert apps. It's like my I guess I don't know. I don't want to say guilty pleasure. It's not a pleasure. I like to see headlines come across. I like to know when things come across, and yeah, a lot of these. I've got news apps that are cover both liberal stuff and conservative stuff. I mean, I like to see the headlines that the other side is writing as well. And headline that came across today was five major threats to the U.S. national security in 2024, written by Ellen Mitchell. Ellen Mitchell is a senior defense reporter currently writing for The Hill. She's also written for Politico, and she's been writing for about a decade.
Yeah.
So she's not a little rookie writer. Um, but yeah, 2024 is going to be a very interesting year for, I think, Homeland Security as we know it. I really feel like this is going to be a year that's really going to, I don't want to say shape who they are, but it's going to define who Homeland Security is, and just how finger on the pulse these guys really are, how in touch they are.
I don't have a lot of faith in them.
You gotta have faith. I mean, if nothing, you gotta have faith. You can not have
I don't
confidence,
have to have faith
but
in
you gotta
them.
have faith.
I have to have faith in them.
I don't have
I
confidence,
have
but
faith, but it ain't in them. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, you can just start it. You just start every day at the airport and see how things are running, and
I will say the airport's been funny. As somebody who flies a lot, I see different trends in security happen, and you kind of know when they've gotten an alert, because I was flying for a while and I was fine, and all of a sudden, I fly with two laptops a lot, which is kind of a trigger for them. They don't like the two laptop thing, because I fly my personal laptop and a business laptop, and
I can't be the only one that does that.
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
I mean, I do that too when I travel.
A lot of us do, right? So, but it's something that kind of makes them uneasy. And I've had my laptop swabbed more in the past 6 months, and I don't know what they're swabbing for. Um,
Oh, boy.
but they're swabbing laptops, and it is what it is. I think our biggest problem, before we get into this whole security thing, I think our biggest problem in not having confidence in an organization like Homeland Security is, I feel like they don't do a good job of telling us what they've caught. Like, I feel like they stop a lot of stuff and the American people have no idea. So, which in exchange leads to a organization or a group that is funded by the American people, and this perception becomes that, what do these people do? Like, we pay for these people, what do they do? And the honest answer to that is, we don't really know what they're doing, because I feel like they're not telling us, well, we've we've prevented this or we've done this. You just hear of something either when it's imminent, now is how they have the thing, or something that's already happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot that goes on that we don't know about, and I think that's the way it should be. I mean, when it comes to Homeland Security, I do sometimes feel like, what are they doing? But no, I feel like as far as that access, that's become something that's so popular and common now with media and social media. And I feel the same way about war. I don't feel like we need to be getting play by plays of war. You know what I mean?
Absolutely
I
not.
think it's a big problem, and I think when the people are getting that on a daily basis, all this footage, all these media opinions and stuff, that like starts to dictate how a war is fought, and I think that's wrong. I don't think the average Joe sitting at home should really have a say in how war is fought. And that's why I just think we get too much access now with social media and media in general nowadays, and I think it can be a problem a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't Eisenhower, it was Patton. said, wars are fought to be won,
Yeah,
and that is, war. A lot of bad things happen in a war that's fought to be won, and unfortunately, I think the world is seeing a lot of bad things happening today. But the flip side of all that is instead of you getting a headline of instead of you getting a neutral media, we're getting a media that's spun, that this many people,
yeah. Well,
for
I mean,
example, this many people in Gaza died. It's the hot button right now.
yeah,
Nobody is talking about, the amount of rockets that are launched still from Gaza into Israel. Nobody wants to talk about the rockets that
right,
are
right,
being
right,
launched.
right. Yeah,
They just want to talk about the
it's
innocent people
crazy.
being killed. And I mean, listen, if they're launching rockets from the apartment building next to you, wouldn't take me long to figure out that they're probably not going to be happy with that building, right? I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like they don't know where these things are coming from. So
it's ridiculous.
it's a tough thing, and it is hell. It is what it is. But
Well, it's the
you
other
know,
problem you get, with today's technology too. You also get all this misinformation. You get all this propaganda. I mean, our media is so quick to quote these numbers that they're getting from essentially Hamas.
oh yeah,
They call it the Gaza Ministry of something, blah blah blah. It's Hamas. They're coming out with the numbers. It was in this article.
yeah.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But I mean, our media gets these bogus numbers from essentially the enemy, the bad guy, and they report them, and then it stirs up people here in the U.S. and we have all these protests because of it.
Well,
It's
it's
crazy.
and the bullshit started when they were like, "Well, Israel bombed a hospital." Well, it's not a day later that we realized that's not what happened. We realized that they fired rockets that misfired and they hit their own parking lot of their own hospital.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. But the problem
So,
is how quick our liberal media
but
is to just roll with it
it wasn't
and
just our
report
liberal;
it.
it was the world media, liberal
Well,
media.
most of the world media is liberal.
Right. I mean, it wasn't just. I don't want to, just give the U.S. liberals credit for that. I mean,
Well, they're the ones I
it
watch, and
was
they're the only ones
everybody.
that I'm concerned with. I don't care what the rest of the world does. That's the problem with it. Everybody's so concerned with what the rest of the world does. We need to worry about our own country.
So, and
So
well,
what's on? So what's on this? What are their
so coming down
concerns?
the list, the first thing that of the five major threats, and I will say, I will preface this: what I feel is the biggest threat, which we will get to, is not even on this damn
Mm-hmm.
list. All right, but so the first one here is the expansion of the Israel-Hamas war.
Mm-hmm.
Where she goes into, Gaza's health ministry, and more than 22,000 Palestinians have been killed. Um,
And then she went on to say, what 2/3 of which have been women and children,
yeah, yeah. I,
because this media wants us to believe that the Israel's
this
military is just butchering kids and women.
the whole spin of this media thing now with Israel is they are painting Israel out to be committing genocide against, Palestinians. That's the whole spin.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
When literally in the Hamas doctrine, which if you go back, we went through and we read, and it says right in the Hamas doctrine that they want to wipe, um, you know, the Israel off the map.
Yeah.
That's genocide. It says
I mean, that's
they've
not
written
been a
it down.
secret. That
Like
hasn't been a
this
secret.
is one of our goals.
That's been ongoing forever, right? What
So
is it, from the river to the sea or whatever? Is that
yeah,
little slogan,
yeah, yeah.
which basically means wiping
Mm-hmm.
them off the planet?
Which
I mean, and this happens, and
it sounds so catchy and clean and kitschy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Free Palestine from the river to the sea. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what it actually means is something very different.
yeah.
It's we had an incident here in Cherry Hill in the Target. Man, did you see what happened in Cherry Hill in the Target?
I just heard it from you. I didn't see it.
They basically, a bunch of Palestinians came in and started to protest Target because they didn't like something Target said, and I forget what the actual story was, but they basically stood there in the lobby singing, as you're shopping, bombs are dropping, and what
They're always so catcy with their little
they're
slogans, aren't
so
they?
catchy, they're
So
so
creative.
catchy, and what I don't understand is that these people were surrounded by police. They're on private property. A Target is a
Yeah,
private property. A
yeah.
Target is private property. Why is it even going on?
I don't understand
Get the F out of my store.
how they don't remove them. You don't have that. The American people have gotten so caught up in, they have all these things that they believe are rights that aren't rights. You
Yeah.
know, they just spout all these different things off that they can do, people like this, and this is our right to do. It's not. It's not a right. These things aren't a right. You don't have a right to go and block a highway.
No.
That's not a repeat. That's not peaceful protest.
got it.
Well, it wasn't. It was a conflict.
Oh, that's right.
Remember the semantics. Um, my point being, I wasn't around to know how it happened, like how long it took to progress and things like that. But I'm here now, and I mean, if Ukraine, Russia, you're gonna duke it. Let's go. Can we get the show on the road? Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Same thing with Israel. And why it doesn't need to take this long. Let's just start launching missiles until we're all out. See who's got more people left, and they win.
See who's got deeper holes dug.
It's annoying that it's just dragging out, and then it seems like it's all just about money nowadays. Anyway, these
So
wars.
here's the thing: Ukraine sits on one of the largest natural gas deposits in the world,
Hmm.
and you know our you know our Roomba of a president, his son worked for one of these big Ukrainian energy companies. They gave the rights to drill this thing, to drill for this energy and this gas, you know, to Sunoco in January, and Russia invades in February. So everybody's telling the world that this is all over the rest of this bullshit, when really it's just over energy. It's over the same
I mean,
thing.
it's not over territory.
It's not. It's over territory that has the natural gas that we want to
Right.
drill for, is what it
Yeah.
is. But it's just over energy, and we are. I honestly, I feel like we're responsible for this. I feel like the Biden administration, who represents our country, whether we like it or not, is responsible for this conflict.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, again, we had 4 years of peace, and then we put a cowardly joke in office, and we're getting wars all over the place. And I'm sure these two aren't the last of them that are going to come up. Unless something changes. Top.
so most things in this list, I can see whether her reasonings are right or not. I feel like most of the topics on this list hit the our U.S. security in one way or another. The next one she's calling domestic extremist group attacks.
Yeah.
And the only reason she worded it that way is because I think her credibility would have been knocked if she wrote mass shootings by white dudes.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, she brings up the where was the
The racially motivated shooting in Buffalo.
Buffalo, that's right.
Yeah.
And then the Jewish one in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, man, these are just, racial or anti-Semitic hate issues, and it does I mean, maybe I'm short-sighted. I don't see it as anything to do with national security. It's just where we are in the world now. Where there's a lot of hate-filled people that don't like other people for whatever reason, and we have a lot of mentally ill people.
Wow.
So this stuff happens, but I don't think it's a national security issue.
I feel like we're gonna see more and more religiously, and I don't even want to say racial.
Goodness gracious.
I don't even want to say racially motivated. I want to say we're going to see more religiously motivated violence, and whether that comes in the form of a shooting, or whether that becomes in the form of a Jewish family, being confronted by a Palestinian family in the Mall of America, like happened just last week. And you can see going down the comments of that. Well, we're only seeing the side of the Palestinians attacking. We're not seeing the side. You know what I mean? We're not seeing the other side.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I
agree.
and the comments were so polarized and split, and that's my whole thing about like the Israel-Hamas war, like that it's going to be a threat to national security, because what it's going to do is, how do you break down a society and divide it? And this is dividing the American society on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because now you're taking people we've already divided, right? Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals, and now you're not, what driving, say, a wedge further in, to that wedge, because you're not, because there are a lot of liberals who are like, I stand with Israel.
Oh yeah.
Right? Who are but
Well, I mean, historically in this country,
mhm.
the Jewish people
Right.
are liberal.
So how is that? So that wedge is almost like twisted. It's not like you're just
Mhm.
driving the same wedge in deeper
Mhm.
to divide two groups of people. You're dividing a wedge into like subdivide a whole nother group of people.
Yeah.
And that to me, I mean, this kind of goes, I guess, a little bit with that, but um, it
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you about probably seeing more and more religious attacks because if you think about it, right, our country here was founded on the idea of people coming here like fleeing religious persecution, wanting to be able to be whatever religion they want, and that's what we've embraced always,
yeah,
religious freedom is one of our biggest freedoms in this country, right? But what have we been doing for the last 40, 20, 30, 40 years? We've been importing a group of people who believe
not in religious freedom.
if you're not my religion, then you need to die.
Yeah.
So how does that work? And then
Or simply putting it, my religion should be in every home.
yeah, I mean
Be-
they
be-
say it
because
flat out, say it. They all say it.
that's what they say, right? I
Yep.
mean, that's not, you can't.
No, they don't say should. They say will
Yeah.
be in every home in America. Um, so how's that going to work? Because contrary to what the media wants you to believe, there's still an awful lot of Christian Americans. It's still kind of a majority.
Yeah.
So you're going to get clashes that just are out of control, I think.
And maybe, I always talk about like the pendulum and the pendulum swinging, right? Maybe this swings the pendulum so far that people become more in touch with their Christianity, and that's the good that comes out of this.
Maybe.
Just maybe.
I mean, hopefully.
I can be hopeful, right?
Yeah. Well,
Have faith.
I mean, as a Christian, I already know how the story ends. So, um, yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy, but I do see that. I do see that as being a huge problem for us in 2024 and moving forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily tie it to national security. It's just more chaos.
More,
We've had a lot of that in the last 3 years.
more of people not being able to see through the weeds.
Yeah. But again, like you can if you read the article and we're not reading the whole article for you, but if you read the article, you can kind of see where she's going with it. But like you said, it's just, homegrown white male terrorists killing minorities and
being racially
Jews.
motivated.
So kind of ridiculous, but
so
what's next?
The next one is a threat to national security. What do you think of this, though? By the way,
it's good.
This is good stuff.
Good. Yeah. Well, Elijah Craig's always good. So
this 94 proof is it's
a
warming.
little Kentucky hug.
Mm-hmm. The next one is real threat to national security, and it's been one of those controversy issues where people are like, oh, that doesn't happen. Well, I mean, we know through social media that there has been outside election interference and influence.
That's the next one?
Yeah, that's the next one.
What number are you on?
I think we're almost on the last one here. Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So, listen, other countries have too much at stake upon the outcome of the U.S. because the way the U.S. goes, historically, and historically, the way the U.S. goes affects the prosperity or the disparity of a lot of different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our friends in England always pay close attention to how the U.S. goes.
Right.
It definitely affects them. It's interesting, and to the point where the U.S. has had so much influence, and the dollar has had so much influence, over the world, that Russia and China are splitting off, trying to create the BRIC states, where currency is now backed by gold and not by the U.S. dollar, and that will, in their theory, devalue the U.S. dollar. So it's a big win for the non-BRICS countries this week, by the way.
Big win for who?
For the non-BRICS countries. Big win for the dollar countries this week, by the way.
Okay.
If people didn't know, Argentina, the newly elected conservative president of Argentina, who slow played the maybe we'll do the BRICS thing, maybe we'll do it when the time is right, gets into office and he's like, yeah, F that. Like we are not with them.
That dude's cool.
He is cool.
I like that dude. Listen,
So-
I've never in my life given even the slightest thought of ever living outside of the U.S.
You think Argentina would be the place?
But right now, today, if there was a reason I had to flee, that's where I would go. That dude's cool.
Really?
That dude's cool.
He is cool.
I
I
can
don't
deal
know
with
if I'm
that
going
dude.
to Argentina. Listen,
Listen.
I love the chimichurri and the skirt steak. Don't get
Listen.
me wrong, but I don't know, man.
Listen, I'm not going anywhere in Europe.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they have more issues with Middle Eastern people there creating chaos than we do.
I don't know. I think I'd go to Poland if they'd have me. And I don't know
You
that
just
they
talked
would.
about them being in a war with Russia.
I know, but they
On the doorstep
they
of
don't want-
Russia,
they
and now
don't-
you want to move there?
They don't want anybody in there, man.
No, I mean that guy's cool too. Who was that? Who was that said that about immigration?
I forget his name.
I don't know if was he the president?
He was the president of Poland, or
I
the
don't know
prime
if he
minister
was
of
just a
Poland, or
politician.
whatever they have there.
Yeah,
But
that's
he's like, F that.
I don't know.
We don't want them. We don't need them. And this is why we don't have these problems. Here's my thumb.
I don't want to move anywhere, man. I'd have to just go down shooting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was So that I mean
that's
that
the
is a big
thing.
issue. I mean,
I think it is an issue, and I think with technology, and I think the U.S. I think we have, we don't have the voting laws that we need to have in this country. In my opinion,
It's a
I am
mess.
all for voter ID. I think that people are like, oh, you're being racist. You need to ask for your papers. You know what? When I get pulled over, I have to show a cop my papers, my license.
Bro, you got to show ID to shop at Costco.
You have to show your papers, right, to get into your Costco papers, but it's a photo ID.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have to show more to get into Costco than I should have to show to get into to a place, to a voting poll, to a polling booth. I feel like I shouldn't have to do that.
Imagine living in a country where you got to have a license to fish, but you don't have to have anything
license
to go vote.
To fish, license to hunt. License to catch certain kinds of fish, because just your license, you can't go trout fish unless you got a trout stamp. So, mind you, in the state of New Jersey, you can't get in the state of New Jersey. And this is gonna blow people's minds. If you owe back child support in the state of New Jersey, they will not give you a fishing license or a hunting license. First question they ask. So, but yet.
So you're broke as a joke and can't pay back child support. So you're out fishing just to try to eat. No, you can't do that.
But you can vote. But you can vote. No problem. No problem there.
Yeah.
So I have a real problem with it. I think it's a real issue, but I think what separates this article from being a relevant article is the fact that they left. She did not address the number one issue that is a threat to our national security,
because that they don't think it's a problem.
I guess
100%,
and that's the security at the southern border. I mean, it's
any border,
any border, but the southern border is what people are using right now. I mean, they are
right, but in the attempt to not discriminate against the
Mexicans,
the darker colored people, any border. I mean, if you don't have border security, you don't have a nation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've said this a million times to you. I might have said it on here, but I mean, every other country on the planet has border security, and nobody cares. But when the U.S. and those evil racist Republicans talk about having a border security where people just can't just walk in left and right, we're all of a sudden horrible people. Every other nation does it.
Mind you, Bill Clinton was at the State of the Union address, and what was he talking about on his campaign trail? What was Bill Clinton talking about at the State of the Union? What did Obama talk about in his first campaign trail? Yeah. They all talked about border security.
And that tells you how far left they've gone, that party.
Well, yeah, convenient. They've gone what I call conveniently left, They've gone polarizingly left.
It's crazy. Yeah, the border security is, for me, it's the number one issue for if you're talking national security.
Yeah.
It just has so many different implications and different problems it causes, not only from terrorists just walking in, but the drug problem, the sex trafficking, the sex slaves is
Yeah.
huge, man. It's
The
the fentanyl
fentanyl
that's killing
alone.
people left and right. There's so many national security issues with it, and you got that clown. What's her name? The clown that talks to the press,
Oh, I don't know.
the minority lesbian lady,
Yeah, yeah,
Jean-Claude Van Damme or whatever her name
yeah,
is.
yeah. I got
The
nothing.
stuff she says about the border
It's
is
comical.
is
And now that their tag
uh,
this week was that Texas is not cooperating with the federal government.
uh, well,
So I don't know, Ellen Mitchell. And if this podcast finds itself to you, um, you're kind of you've written an irrelevant article on the fact that you left the border off.
so you had the border off, and you had that as something that she left off, and I think she talked about we talked about the outside election interference,
Yeah,
but I think we also left off the inside election interference,
also true.
which is huge,
Huge. I still have my soundbite.
huge.
Huge.
Okay, not only from a perspective of them trying to take the top candidate off the board, right,
Yeah.
in states, and then the 3 a.m. spike in Democrat votes. I mean, there's so much interference just going on within the country that we don't even need to worry about the outside interference, because we're way worse.
And this is all this is all smoke and mirrors right now, because the way the 14th Amendment is written, and we can do a whole thing in this 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was written by Congress because coming out of the Civil War, Congress did not trust the states to have control over elections. So they wrote the 14th Amendment. That was the whole point of it, right? So the states have they can't enact the 14th Amendment. It's not a thing. It's not written for them. And again, like we probably need to really go deeper into the 14th Amendment.
George, do you hear that a lot?
I don't actually.
It's not a kid's show, so
there you go. But I mean that's it's a big thing, and it's a problem, and anything that affects our elections is a threat to our national security.
Yeah.
So
I think it's I mean, to me, it's a bigger concern than the outside election interference. Because I've witnessed, we've watched it.
We have, and I feel like the outside election interference has been downplayed a little bit, because they don't want people to think that outside countries have influence upon who's going to sit behind the Resolute desk. But we know that outside countries are extremely vested. Go ahead.
Are there really people that believe? Because their excuse is always that, well, we started counting the mail-in ballots. So there's really people that believe that when it comes to mail-in ballots, they're like 99.9% Democrats that do mail-in ballots,
and that they counted that many ballots in 2 hours.
It's just mind-blowing what people will believe and then regurgitate as an excuse. It's insane, man. We have no control. You had this last time, you had like people trying to shield the people who are supposed to be there monitoring this crap, like closed doors counting ballots, shielding it with screens and stuff like that. Like, it's supposed to be completely transparent,
and it's not.
But that's my biggest fear in life right now. That's my biggest fear for 2024. I'm going to go to bed on election night with Trump with a massive lead, and I'm going to wake up to them telling me he'd lost because at 3 a.m. all of a sudden the spike just shot back up for whoever the Democrat candidate is, because we know, like you said, it's probably not going to be Biden.
We know it's not going to be Biden. I mean, at this point, if you believe if you believe that it's going to be Biden at this point, like, you're just a nitwit, I think. And I may eat those words, but they are gonna usurp this guy.
Yeah,
they are gonna usurp this guy in a way that is just gonna be absolutely vengeful and destroy whatever he's built. You know what I mean? Whatever he has, they are just gonna flip him right outside, like it's going to be ugly because he's not going to beat.
Yeah.
He's not going to beat any Republican candidate right now. They have no chance.
Well, but you say that, but we know there's cheating involved.
We know there's cheating
in a
involved.
fair fight. He's not beating.
In a fair fight, he can't beat a Roomba.
He can't. He struggles with his diaper in a fair fight, but it's not a fair fight. We know how it works, and that's the scariest part. Is that we've had how many times now, that this has been an issue, and it's been one of the biggest concerns of the Republican voter, and the Republican politicians do nothing to combat this. While before the next election cycle, we just keep doing this now.
These fuckers are going to run Gavin Newsom. I'm convinced of it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm convinced of it.
I really wouldn't be surprised.
And I'm convinced of it because I feel like if that was them, that's what I'd do.
I feel like, man, again, I said this before, I feel like it's the kind of move that they might think is good, but I feel like it could cause a fracture in their party.
They stick together.
Yeah, they stick together until racial stuff comes involved.
They stick together.
Yeah, I don't know.
They will.
No.
They will.
You got that party growing, and that's the party that doesn't want rich white man. And then you pass up on the VP, who is a minority woman who, by all standards, the way things usually run would be next in line.
She's
right?
not either.
Well, of course she's not, because she's a moron. But I still think it's going to cause some division. I mean, it might not get anywhere to the level of Republican division, but
they might tell Kamala to sit down, shut up, and be Gavin's VP. Sit down, shut up, and be Gavin's VP.
How many times can you be VP in a row? How's that?
I assume 2 terms, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's never talked about. That's a good question.
Yeah, I assume 2 terms.
Interesting.
So another thing that happened in the news today in the news while we're all heated up about liberals and conservatives. The mayor of New York announced that he is going to cut trash collection by 40%.
I don't understand what that means.
So that means that he's going to pick up trash as about half as much as he used to. So a lot of people listening to this have never been in New York City, or they've never lived in the city. I have lived in the city. I lived in Hoboken, which is a city, which is essentially they call the 6th borough.
Might as well be New York, right?
They call it the 6th borough of New York because living in Hoboken, we are closer to Manhattan and a shorter commute to Manhattan than most people in Queens and Brooklyn, right? So I will tell you on trash day, and I've been in New York on trash day, trash from these restaurants is like piled high and deep, like 6 feet high at the end of the curb.
Is it really?
And they take this trash and they pile it up, and they pile it up at the end of the day. And that's why a lot of people, if you don't live in the city, you don't know this, I feel like. They pile this trash up on the curb, and it's piled high, and a lot of it is piled, right? So and this is with normal trash pickup. So they're going to tell you that we're going to say they're picking up trash. I'll bet you in New York they pick up trash probably 3 to 4 times a week. I would say.
That's a lot.
Yeah, for some of these neighborhoods, it is a lot because there's a lot of fucking trash. Like, where are you putting it? It's a lot of people.
So that's for for an individual. If I lived in an apartment in New York, they would pick up my trash 3 to.
Yeah, probably different neighborhoods might be a little bit different. But
how does it work when you're in an apartment in the city? Do you take it somewhere in the building, and then the building has
some buildings have compactors?
Yeah, that's because where
my building,
I take mine out to a trash can out by my garage, but they don't have that obviously. So where do you put it?
My building has compactors. I want to see. There's a
it's wild, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild what's going on in New York right now. They're just. I mean, I don't like the city, so I don't really feel sorry for them. But it's crazy what's going on in the city, especially New York right now.
So listen to this. This is interesting. We live here in the sticks. So I live in a town called Chemung, right? Chemung is 44 square miles, maybe between 5,000 and 6,000 people in 44 square miles. When I lived in Fairlawn, we were right around 5,000 people per square mile. There's people in middle America their heads are probably exploding right now. All right, so we were like 5,000 people per square mile. So 5,000 people in a square mile. That's the average, right? New York City is just under 30,000 people per square mile.
Well, that's because they're literally stacked on top of each other.
Think everybody's producing garbage.
Yeah.
Mind you,
that's not something, you think about.
Not something you think about, right? They have so many garbage trucks in New York. When it snows, they don't have plow trucks. They put plows on their garbage trucks.
Well, that's smart.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but that's because that's the city's city probably has more garbage trucks than they have any other vehicle, period. So
I don't know. I don't know. So
so
what is it? So what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to end up with just garbage in the streets?
Yeah.
Stacked up, like just hanging out?
Yeah.
And then by the time you do come around with the trucks, you're not going to be able to get all the garbage?
Well, I mean, I can't make sense of it. I can't make sense.
That's
in
I don't know, man. If you live in a city, man, you're crazy.
Yeah,
you're crazy.
So it's nuts, dude. It's absolutely nuts. So with increased trash in a city comes what?
Disease, rats,
man.
Which
fucking
is disease,
rats. So, and people understand, like before, Giuliani, I feel like when we were in college, I would go up to NJIT to see the boys. We would, Joel, Dennis, myself, we would, hop on a sketchy ass Newark subway and take that to Penn Station and then go over to San Gennaro in the city, which is like basically the Italian festival in the, Little Italy. And the rats at the Canal Street station in the 90s were so fucking big that we used to punt them onto the third rail of the subway. You could kick these fuckers like a soccer ball.
I would go there.
So, and it was bad then. Giuliani came in. Giuliani cleaned all this up. I know Giuliani's the America's favorite scapegoat right now. But Giuliani cleared up he cleaned up the city. He cleaned up the city. He cleaned up Times Square. He made it a tourist attraction. He made it, relatively safe to go to as far as a city goes, right? And he certainly cleaned up Canal Street, and now we are going to cut back on trash. And people see this headline. I feel like they're going to look at this headline if you don't know better, and you can be like, it's not a real big deal. So we're going to forego a trash collection day to house some immigrants, because that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, because they're spending so much money.
Because they're spending so much money to be a sanctuary city that they can't afford to pay to pick up the trash.
Listen,
so now
it warms my heart to see these sanctuary cities crying about.
So now you get
people coming
city
there.
workers that be working less, right? To collect less trash, to have more trash stack up so we can house some immigrants.
Yeah, listen, you get what you get.
So listen, you put trash in office, guess what you get?
Trash on the street.
Trash. So
trash, immigrants, and terrorists.
It's just aggravating. It's just aggravating.
We're kind of in a bad way right now, man. It's
it's
kind of sad.
And I feel like if you live in the city of New York, like you're paying a lot of money to live there. You're paying
some of
the highest rent in the nation. You're paying some of the highest taxes in the nation.
Oh my gosh.
And you're getting nothing for it. And it's interesting, when Stacey and I lived in Hoboken, we did like Hoboken. We liked, parts of Jersey City. There were parts of it that were nice. But I said at the end of the day, like when we were looking at buying someplace, like even just as an investment, I said, here we are, we're looking at buying something. I said, what do we get for our tax dollars? What are we getting? You're getting garbage pickup.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're getting. Like, to me, that was the biggest benefit of your tax dollars, was them
the schools, right?
I'm not benefiting from that. I don't really give a shit.
Well, you're not, but that's what they're taking a lot of it for.
That's what they're taking a lot of it for. What am I getting? Garbage pickup.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you look at it, and
I'm getting police, fire, and garbage.
But nowadays, you're not really benefiting from that because crime is rampant and police aren't allowed to do anything. So they're not protecting you.
Right.
Their hands are tied, so you're not really getting police. You're getting, people in uniforms.
So I just wanted to talk about that real quick because that came up as a headline today, and I feel like that's one of these things that people are just not. They're going to look at that and they'll be like, oh, it's a small price to pay to house the immigrants. No, fuck that. It's a lot of goddamn trash on the streets. It's going to lead to filthy streets, and it's like, are you kidding me right now?
it does kind of tie in because in my opinion, cities in general are a national security.
National security risk.
Between what we allow in there and what typically lives there, and it's just you're not going to hear any real. George is the one that's going to have to hype up cities for you because I have no use for him at all. It's just
took you to New York for the first time.
Boggles my mind.
So proud to pop.
I ain't been back since.
So proud to pop your New York City cherry. Staying at small ass Holiday Inn.
Listen, that hotel is the least of my problems with that city. Only plus to that city was, I will say, the bars know how to make a good drink.
Yeah,
they have some pretty legit bartending as far as drink making, because most you go to your TGIF and you ask for some sort of drink and you're going to get some shit. You're going to get someone who doesn't really know how to bartend. But in New York City, like the good bars, they have legitimate bartenders that like can make a Manhattan or make an old fashioned. You know what I mean? That old fashioned we had that one little bar, that was best old fashioned I've ever had.
Copper Still Bar or whatever that bar was called. That was probably one of the best drinks.
Carolyn knows the name of that one because she talks about it. But they made a wicked drink.
But here's the thing. I mean, that's the benefit of the cities, right? I mean, the one thing about the city, I will say, is that the entertainment value, the convenience value is high, obviously, but the entertainment value, which comes in a lot of different forms, is at a very high level. Because if you are a shitty restaurant, you are not going to make it.
Yeah, because there's just too many good ones.
Whereas if you live out here in the sticks, you could serve shitty pizza and you're still going to sell fucking pizza. I mean, it's you could sell mediocre wings, and you know what? You're still going to sell wings.
There's no such thing as bad pizza.
Yeah, there is.
Except in Texas.
So, I mean, you have places out here that we don't like to go to eat because they're just not that damn good. But yet, as not good as they are, they stay in business. So somebody must go there. And
well, you get out in the sticks like we're at, you just less options.
There's less options. There's less competition. So that competition drives that. I feel like competition just drives excellence.
That is kind of funny though, because considering where we live and how like small town rural we are, which people, knowing that we're in New Jersey, probably like, what are you talking about in New Jersey? But I mean, we live in a very rural part of New Jersey. Like,
dang.
We've had friends, motorcycle friends that have come up from the South and from other parts of the country that came to Jersey to ride with us, and they couldn't believe the area we live in, how much more similar it is to where they're from than what they expected, because everybody envisions, North Jersey smokestacks and, factories and all that stuff. But we live in the sticks, but the problem, for where we live, how many pizza places do we got around here?
A lot. How many of them are good?
And that's the thing, though. Like, they have competition. Why are they still not that great?
I don't know.
Although I don't have as poor of opinion of them as you do. But
weird piney loyalty.
I find the pizza places down here to be very inconsistent, which is what drives me nuts. Because the place that I like, sometimes I love their pizza, and other times I get in, I'm like, what is this crap? It's like, why is it so inconsistent? But anyway,
I mean, I know I like Ramon's out by you. They put out a pretty decent pie.
But they're the ones I'm talking about. Like, I like them too. But then sometimes I get them and I'm like, someone filling in making pizza tonight? Because it sucks.
Red Star is the most consistent, and that's the thing. And I feel like that's because the owner's back there spinning pies. But
I don't know, man.
And it's
I don't know how we ended up talking about pizza, but I mean, it's not the worst note to go out on.
Oh my God!
Man.
Welcome to 2024, bitches.
I think we have a lot of problems, and I think if things don't go right later this year, we're gonna be in a world of hurt. Because if you look at how far we've fallen in just the 3 years of what we got in office right now, imagine another 4 on top of this.
Scary.
Like, this is not going to be. This is exactly how Venezuela went from being, a rich nation to a poor mess.
Yeah,
just a disaster, and it didn't happen in a long time. It was a short period of time that it fell apart, and this is what happens when you have communists and socialists, in charge.
Yep.
So, man, I hope if you're someone who kind of leans the way we lean, which If you've listened to any of these, you kind of know how that is. But if you're a Republican or you're a conservative or you just don't like the way things are going,
Or you're a Christian.
and you or a Christian or a Jew,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't vote because I know so many people, my vote doesn't matter. If you don't vote, man,
Politics doesn't affect me.
you are so insane if you
Yeah.
don't vote this time around. Like, it has to be, we know what we're dealing with. We know what the shenanigans we're dealing with and the late night,
Mm-hmm.
stacking the ballot, right?
The,
It has to be so outrageously lopsided for whoever the Republican candidate ends up being. If it's not, if it's close, it's getting stolen. And I
yeah.
mean, people, probably think I'm some crazy conspiracy theories, but I'm just going off what I've seen the last couple election cycles, man. I'm just going off what I've
Yeah.
seen, and
It's
not just the federal ones, even in states and stuff, like in the liberal states. It's the same thing. They do the same thing on the state level for governors and stuff. Man, if you just, it takes 20 minutes to go vote, man. Unless you live in the city, you're not waiting in any lines.
yeah. Go vote.
Go vote, put your vote in, and then you can at least say, I tried. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do your part. It's your civic duty, man. That's what this country's founded
It's not
on.
even that. People died for you to have that right.
Exactly. Think
Like,
of it, if for
have a
no other reason,
have
think
a
of
little
that.
respect. Have a little respect for that.
Just do it for a vet. Do it for someone who's fought in a war. Just go do it, man. It takes a few minutes. Cast your ballot whichever way. And I don't, if you're voting for the liberal or the Democrat or Biden or whoever it is, fine. If that's what your vote is legitimately for, go cast that vote, man, and just take advantage of the freedoms you have here, because not everybody has them in the world. Like,
No.
that's what made this country so beautiful. And man, if we don't do something soon, it's not going to look like this much longer.
Yeah. It's a
It's
scary
crazy.
thing.
And then God, man, if you have kids and you don't take the time to go vote,
Shame on you.
shame on you is right. Like, what kind of country are you trying to leave for your kids, man? And if you have kids that are voting age and you don't like make them go vote,
Yeah.
my kids will both be voting this year. This is the first year where both of my kids are able to vote, and they will be voting, whether they have to do a mail in because they're at college or whatever. They will be voting.
Wow, it's the first presidential election for both of them.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Yep.
I might have to do an absentee ballot this year because of my travel. I mean, I can't plan that I'll be here on election day. So
Really?
yeah, it's a tough thing.
Just tell your job you're not traveling that day.
So it's
kind of an important thing.
It's an important thing. I mean, I'm gonna have to, do an absentee or something. I don't know. I'm
They
such
don't count those though,
I'm
man.
so stressed out about it. I don't know what to do.
I feel
I know. So well,
I
this is
don't know.
2024. We're going to obviously be talking about a lot of stuff. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about this election a lot coming up. We're going to be talking about Tunnel to Towers.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you check out those links down below. If I remember, I will link this article in the show notes down below, and in the YouTube description down below the YouTube channel. I think it's important to look at these articles, whether they are written from a liberal standpoint or a conservative standpoint. I think it's important to look at these articles and kind of analyze them for your own point of view, to not only understand your side's version, or the side that you stand with version, but to also understand where the other side is coming from and what that narrative is, because knowledge is power.
Yeah, man. If I could have one wish come true, man, I think I would be, that we could get back to the time when people could just talk about things that were politically related in a civil manner, explain your opinion, listen to another person's opinion, and kind of like discuss it and like try to understand what someone is, but also like listen. I don't feel like anybody listens to the other person. We're so split and so far left and right that, and I'm guilty of it. Like, I don't want to hear, because I've heard so much of it that I don't want to hear like like, I want you to like give me like common sense, like some sort of opinion that has some common sense to it.
You sound like a Canadian politician right now. We need common sense conservatism.
That's the problem. We've all gotten so far away from common sense. Like the stuff that you hear people say is just crazy. And I just wish we could get back to like, I wish we could get back to focusing on political issues and keep social issues out of politics.
Yeah, I think we've gone
Because we don't do politics anymore. We're not discussing like the things that matter. We're discussing, she, he, they, them, him, this bull crap, all that craziness. Like basically Hollywood has infiltrated DC, and that's like all we care about is this nonsense that when it really boils down to it is only is such a minute fraction. Like how many, like if we did the math, what's the percentage of freaking transgenders in America?
Yeah.
But is that all we ever freaking talk about anymore?
Yep.
Is transgender rights and all that? Like, can we get back to the things that are important? Because, in China, their third graders are learning freaking calculus. And in America, our seniors can't even tell you, basic history. Like if you ask them who fought in the Civil War, they're like, and they start laughing. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. You see these things on the street where they go out and ask, these like college kids, like basic questions. They start laughing like their ignorance, like their ignorance is like comical to them.
Yeah,
like they take pride in being stupid. It's crazy.
It's well, I mean, again, you can shit in one hand and hope in the other. And
yeah, I think we got a better chance of shooting it out in the streets in the next 10 years than we do.
I think
that happening.
I think people have always been ignorant, and I think the amount of shitty information that people are incapable of processing as common sense or fact or fiction justifies their ignorance. And I don't see us moving from that direction anytime soon.
Sometimes this podcast is depressing.
I have, again, like I have relatives that I've seen post pro-Palestinian stuff, and
relatives,
and
really?
and I just look at it and I'm like, God help you if you're in Gaza right now, they would just have a grand old time raping you.
It's hilarious, right?
You know what I mean? So it's like you're standing up for some, human cause that for these people that have no humanity. And
it's the old coexist sticker.
I get, yeah,
love it.
The coexist sticker.
Coexist.
So most people don't even understand that. And we should actually talk about the coexist sticker, on a podcast sometime, because we could really get into that. I'd love to like break it down, because it is really again. The whole coexist sticker is based upon hope, and you can shit in one hand and hope in the other, and it's
hope or ignorance. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know if you're watching this. I mean, again, I've asked you this before. You know this better than me. Obviously, you're handling it. Comments on the podcast side of it.
So they can
people comment?
They can leave us comments and ratings on Apple and Spotify, and I think some other stuff, but haven't figured out how to see the other stuff yet. I can see the Apple and I can see the Spotify stuff. So right.
I'm still the YouTuber guy, and I know if you're watching this on YouTube, man, let us know what you think about our opinions. You think we're stupid? If you have your own opinions,
or you could always head over to YouTube and leave us a comment. And, Bert will. Hey,
we are. Sure. I sure will. And we're still trying to. We got going almost 18,000 subs on our Baggers and Brews channel, man. But we only got a few hundred on the new This American Ride channel. So we need some of our YouTube supporters to get over there and give us a sub and watch a little bit of these and help us out, because we got to grow this thing, man. Start getting more people to hear it and get more people involved.
Yeah.
And the more people hear our podcast, the more people are going to know about our cause this year for Tunnel to Towers and raising money for vets. Mm-hmm. So we need to get that word out. And again, if you're listening and you made it this far and you want to support the vets and you have, you don't already do it on a regular basis, man, hit that link that's down in the description. Go to our fundraising page and make a donation. Whatever number you want is not too small. We will be extremely appreciative of whatever it is, whatever you can do to help out.
Yeah, and I mean that's That's our goal for 24 is to raise as much money as we can. Again, we set that goal at 50K. If we wanted it to be easy, we would have set it at 10.
Yeah.
And we want to,
And
challenge
almost be there.
challenge ourselves and challenge, the people who follow us and do something that makes a difference because we got a lot of stuff going on in this country, and if we can make a positive difference in a small way,
Yeah. We know
that's a beautiful
we
thing.
know the motorcycle community that we're involved in over on the Baggers and Brews channel are huge charity people, and especially when it comes to vets, we know they're going to contribute. So we're hoping we can get the non-motorcycle riders that are patriots and care about America and care about our vets over here that are listening to the podcast to do their part and help out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited, man. This is the first one. I know, we've said that these aren't all going to be politics, and they're not. We'll have some other stuff to talk about. But if you're somebody that gets sick of hearing about the politics and would like us to talk about something else, feel free to make suggestions. The suggestion box is wide open. This American Ride 1776 at Gmail. Send us a message, an email on there. Tell us something that you think, we should talk about, give our opinions on. I mean, we might not have thought of the topic, but I'm sure we'll have an opinion when you tell us about it. So we're full of opinions over here. So do that, and or just send us a message to tell us whatever you think, criticism, constructive, or just that you think we suck, whatever. Send us a message.
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah, and we never feel truly successful anyway until we get some hate mail. So we've not had any podcast hate mail. We get plenty of it over on the Baggers and Brews channel. So send us, if you think we suck, send us some hate mail, whatever. We don't care, man. Just interact. Everybody needs to, voice their opinion every now and then and feel heard.
So listen, thanks for tuning in. We're around in the hour and a half mark. We had a lot of passionate stuff come up in this one, and it was again an article that wouldn't have been an article you might have thought about, but it was a great topic to talk about.
Yeah, no, very interesting, and it was kind of a last minute when you shot that over me today.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's a good one to talk about, man. That's a good one to talk about. I was thinking, if nothing else, we're going to be talking about New Year's resolutions, but maybe we'll circle back to that.
Circle back. Okay, Peppermint Patty.
Circle back.
All right.
Circle back, Jen.
He's just getting that now.
Well, listen, man, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of this season. Season 2, man. We're on season 2, and we're going to try to give you more than 7 episodes like an HBO series.
This is not Yellowstone.
We'll try to give you your money's worth on this one, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to coming up with some new exciting things to talk about, or just some interesting things to talk about. And I'm excited.
Sweet.
Later. See you guys.